Hey everybody, welcome to a little chat between myself, Izzy Rivers, CEO of Ray Technologies, and Nicky Willibrand, CTO of Ray Technologies, on with us today to talk a little bit more about the build and the more techie stuff, I guess, that gets left behind a bit, but is probably the most important bit of what we do. Nicky, do you want to say hi quickly?
Hi.
Such an engineer.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, buckle up. We're going to be talking about some interesting topics, and thank you very much for joining us. How have you been?
Yeah, pretty all right, Izzy. Pretty all right. How have you
Busy.
been?
I mean, I'm over the COVIDs. Now back to contracts and the emergency post-it of things that have to be complete by the end of the day, or I'm not allowed to go to bed, Nikki.
So you're now going day by day then?
Yeah, I have the long-term whiteboard, and then I have the medium-term notebook,
You've got specific. Oh wow, I'm
and then
impressed.
I have the emergency post-it.
Ah, nice.
So
So
it's
the
an
post is
escalation process.
exactly, yeah. So the post is actually where the work comes from, but what makes it to the post it depends on the day, and of course coming from medium term, right, rather than long term, because long goes into medium as well.
That's it. The post-it is refreshed every day. The notebook is refreshed every week,
Okay,
and the whiteboard is refreshed probably every 4 to 5 weeks.
nice.
So it's a process. It's a very analog, offline,
Yeah. I
silly
need to I
process.
need to teach you about the whole second brain stuff. We'll leave that for a different time.
Yeah,
I've got a
maybe.
second brain.
Ooh, no, go
Yeah,
on.
yeah,
What's your second brain?
yeah. So you're clouding everything, right? You just speak to
Yeah.
Claude and it finds stuff. What
Yeah.
if it, rather than having
Other
Claude
LLMs
memory,
are
which is
available.
just disgustingly bad because it just starts spewing stuff that have nothing to do with the thing I'm actually looking for. Well, I remember you looked for this before. It must be adjacent. It's not. Just do the thing I asked you to do, right? So I've turned off as much memory as I can in Claude itself, asked it to not record as much, and I use my second brain, which is stored somewhere else, and it interfaces with MCP. So when I think of an idea, I'll say, "Oh, how about this?" And it was, "Yeah, go, write it to my brain." And then every week I get a recap of my brain of the things I've thought of, and then I can accept and progress and all that stuff. And I just keep like a whole collection of brainy stuff. And if I have nothing to do, I can ask what's in my brain.
I like that. So you
Yeah.
you do full digital. I'm still working on the analog system.
To be fair, your analog works a lot better. This only works. Well, it doesn't. It kind of works, I guess. It's not fantastic, but it sounds really cool, doesn't it?
It does. It's really cool. I think mine's more of an ADHD management tool as well, in that I've got the Trello boards and I've got the notification systems within the digital channels. But if I don't remember to look at those, then they don't count. In the same way that if it's not on my work calendar, it's not a real meeting. I
There
will
you
just
go.
anything that's not in there.
Yeah.
The final escalation is when you write one thing down from this post-it note and you stick it on a computer monitor with a big.
Well, oh yeah, yeah. That's the end game. Yeah.
That's the
When
end
it's
game.
you've
Shit's
got
got
P.
bad if there's a
You got
computer monitor
P.
that's post-it.
That's your P3, P2, P1, P0 ticket. That on
That's it.
when it's on the screen.
That's it. Oh, how have you found working with a team?
Fantastic, fantastic. You guys are awesome. It's been really easy because you allow engineers to do what engineers need to do and just focus on the output, which allows us to be creative. It allows us to put the right things into place. We don't have to have endless discussions about low level stuff. You care about outcomes, not about not so much. Well, I'm sure you care about how it's built, but it's not necessarily. We don't have to involve you in every single step of the way, which gives us a lot of pace,
Yeah.
right? Which is nice. So we can work at a high pace. You're also just decent people, which is very, very nice. You're fun to speak to. I can speak on behalf of the team that yeah, you're really easy to work with, and we really enjoy it.
No, that's. I mean, I don't forget the look on Danny's face the first time we had like a UX meeting with him when he was designing some of the front end. He realised we weren't going to argue with him about logo placement.
But yeah, because he's had them, right? He's had that stuff happen to him before. We've had customers like completely failing QA. We're saying, well, there's a spelling mistake in this sentence, and then they're making a whole big deal out of it. I'm like, guys, just change this sentence. It's not, nothing's wrong. This is fine. And they make a whole big deal out of it. I'm like, yeah, I'm not sure this is where we want to spend our time and energy making big deals out of.
I think
right?
it's a fear-based thing, you know, Nikki. That's my theory. People that are they're either deeply worried that the program's not going to work, or they're
Hmm.
deeply worried that it is going to work and suddenly they're going to be in a successful future. They're not going to know what to do with it. So they just panic and focus on the little tiny unimportant things in front of them.
Mm. Well, on that note, how's it been for you actually building out Ray? This is the first time you build a piece of software, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No idea
So
what I'm
that's scary.
doing. Well, I think it's to your point of finding the right people.
Yeah,
Because
always.
it's not scary to me because I know that it can be done in a very predictable offline way. So my logical brain goes, if I it's to what Peter was saying on the call the other day. If I can map out how this can be automated in a functional way, then a machine or an AI can do it.
Hmm.
Like if it's one step after another, and unfortunately, I think that's most of our jobs. Is quite logical, practical. You know, we wish we had more creative roles, and I'm sure most of us put that element into our jobs. But a lot of what we do is just predictable. So, so I'm not sort of worried about building the software because I can see that it's possible. But
Hmm.
it's nice not to have to understand everything. I think when you're in charge of something, you don't need to understand everything. You need to understand the people who are working with you who do understand it.
If you were to have to understand everything, you would spend a lot less time building out the future.
Yeah.
And you only have that much brain capacity, right? So being able to hand off at least that part, which you don't necessarily have to get because you've got people behind it, is going to be really important. And the same
Yeah.
goes for me when I build Ray, right? The reason I build Ray as a start is because I wanted to make sure that we set out the right vision, the right architecture, the right way of working at the start. Now, as we've matured a lot, my job is now mostly coordinating, making sure the right people are on the right thing. Much like yourself, all I have to do is make sure that they know the spec, they know the brief, we have the architecture, it's worked before, we need to extend it, optimize it, make it better.
Yeah. How did you, because you're coming from the other way, you really understand the tech and learning about all the AI side of things, but you didn't really know, I'm guessing, a lot about advertising or media planning and buying at the beginning.
I knew about the word go to market. That's about as far as I got. It's one of the big challenges working with you guys has been the lexicon that comes with it. The amount of partners you have, the names they have that might sound small similar, and then me having to figure out no, it's this one, it's that one, and then having to find out what they actually do, because you have effectively your own language.
Yeah. And
This is
you
one of the
too.
biggest. Yeah, well, yeah, yeah. It's one of the biggest challenges I've had working with you guys is understanding what you're on about in a good way. But there's so much to learn from an outsider perspective on B2B media planning. So much.
When you took the project on and you came on board, when did you think, oh, this is going to be a really quite a big application? It's got a lot of scope.
Interesting question. I think it wasn't at the start. So at the start, I was more concerned about the tech because we're in the AI space. One of the challenges from a technical perspective we have is that this field is moving the entire time. And if we don't move at the same pace, technically slightly ahead of it, to make sure we're on the cutting edge, it's difficult for us to actually provide the value that you need from your systems because we've got now the whole market screaming AI and this is all it can do. And if we're going to lag behind, it's going to be quite challenging. So that was the first challenge I saw. When it came to the scope, yeah, that came a little bit afterwards. When I started to understand the complexities of your work. Not that I didn't respect it before, but there's always knowing something's coming and then knowing what's coming are two entirely different things in this case.
Yeah.
So that was like a month later.
I think as well it's because we focused on disrupting the easiest things first, or well, easy, the simplest things first in terms of planning and reporting, and then now we're getting into activation. It's opening up this other whole realm of things that can be influenced or new capabilities that can be built. So I don't know about you, but I'm finding one of my main roles is constantly going between the teams and trying to bring everybody back onto the railroad track of progressing clearly in one direction, because there's so many exciting things to do by the wayside. And that's just on our side. I don't know if you can speak to the same on your side, but it just keeping the focus is it's fun actually.
Because you guys give us a lot of rope, we will find stuff to do. Like we're always working on it. We're always thinking of things that we can imagine or we can improve. There's tech debt that we're always working on it. So what then happens is if if someone's working, let's say the whole party is covered by other people come up with new ideas to make the app better. They'll optimize the front end. They'll make the back end build faster. All this stuff, and this is a never-ending list. I always say I've never seen an empty backlog. The same goes for this. Even if you weren't, I think, Izzy, if you were to go on holiday for a year, we'd still be working next year on the app with things that we come up with, let alone organization coming in, right? So, yeah, we're always looking for. We try to, as a team, we try to help you in getting to the next best thing as well, not just follow the spec, right? We need to. It is our responsibility to make sure that your vision comes alive in the best possible way. You need to set the boundaries where we're going. You need to spend your brain capacity there. We don't have to pave the road there and make it clean, fast, governed, secure, in the best way possible.
How much? I mean, just as a general rule, I think one of the most exciting things as well is because it's in a new field. I mean, let me clarify that. AI and LLMs and machine learning is not a new field, but I definitely think since we've seen the rise of ChatGPT and Anthropic and all the rest of it, that area has certainly exploded. So you've been building in a new discipline with a new vertical at the same time. That must have been quite interesting. Do you think that how much has AI helped you with the build versus made it more difficult?
I think it's helped with speed of writing code. It's also been helping with finding things, but it's also such a difficult path to walk. If we were to just give it to the AI, we would not have been where we were. We've had to spend so much time. So the way AI works and LLMs work, right? They have a corpus. They train on a massive amount of data, but the data's out of date. And here we are running at the cutting edge of tech. So what do you do, right? Now, of course, even for us, when we first started working together, we had Opus 4.5 and 4.6, right? For us to work with. We're now way beyond that. The capabilities have completely evolved again, and we've got all these other LLMs, the open source LLMs. We've got so much stuff happening. So the whole AI engineering space was evolving while we were working on it. Having said that, AI has helped us massively during development because it can take care of all the monotonous things that we don't have to think so much about. But yeah, we had to make sure that, especially on things that didn't know, we had to really put some brain power behind. So in a normal CRUD app, which just has a database, create, read, update, delete, just generic application with an API, this speeds it up by a magnitude of percentages. When you're building something like Ray, when there isn't a lot of training data available to build these AI systems with, it still sped us up, but not as much as people might think, simply because you're on the forefront of tech. And as long as you can ask Claude and whoever to do Google searches, it's not going to work, is it? You need to make sure that what you're building is proper. So I would say, and it's a really good question, it helped, but not as much as it helps in other non-cutting edge technologies.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, and there's been like a balance as well between where we want AI to work within the app and where we don't.
Mm-hmm.
When we were learning in the build about the difference between where we want AI to lean on its, information or any training that it might have versus the knowledge blocks and the guidance for the result that we want it to have from our understanding of the world of media planning and buying. And those two things are very, very different. So it has to fit between the two. And then when we first had it making media plans, we hadn't got that completely right, and it was just recommending it. And if a field was left empty, then it would fill it in with generic nonsense.
Yeah.
So it's quite interesting that you have to kind of use it for the bits that work and then tell it where you don't want it to do things.
Which is you're reverse engineering at this point. I think I've mentioned this to you in speaking before. A lot of times I feel like I'm arguing with the machine rather than developing.
Yes.
Stop thinking for yourself. Listen to what I tell you. This is your corpus. You may use this. You cannot use all the things you already know, even though you are built to try and use that as much as possible. So it's all those raising the validation layers, raising the feedback loops, making sure that it doesn't hallucinate, putting a database behind it, using all the tools and the queries, again, putting validation in place. There's so much The LLM is still the way we work. LLMs are a must-have within Ray. They are the central operating system almost for the platform, right? You can do everything through text. It knows what you want. It knows where to go. It has the intelligence to make the decisions with you as a user, makes them for you if you give it that amount of leeway. Regardless, the foundation of Ray is a proper enterprise app. It has all the guardrails we need. There's loads of, as I said before, validations in place to make sure that we don't just spout a lot of nonsense. Of course, it will still happen. It's an LLM. If you tell it the world's green, at some point it will probably believe you. Who knows, right? I've been given names by the LLM before as well. But it can speed us up so much, and it has a way for users to connect into all of this information that you, as Ray, can provide the user as they go through their journeys, along with the harness we've built. The value is massive, and the LLM is still one of the key drivers. I love being able to talk to something and it conjures stuff up. It's the way the world works right now.
Yeah, yeah. It's like when voice search was new and everybody thought that was amazing. And just
Yeah.
we've done another leap. So what do you think then? What do you think is a common belief about building with AI that you think is wrong? From what you've learned in your experience, what's a common belief that people tell you about building with AI that you think is incorrect?
This one's a bit personal, but the whole you don't need software engineers anymore is just ridiculous. If you're building anything serious like Ray, someone told me a couple weeks back, he said, engineers can look around the corner of AI. And I'm like, that's a really good way to explain it, because we know what to ask, we know how to build it. I'm very happy with vibe coding because people can now explain their thoughts by building an app or walking through a design together. It's all very exciting. I'm a big fan of it. Where it falls down very, very quickly is, for example, if you're on the cutting edge, because the corpus does not have the training data yet, this is going to be tricky. Google searching is only as good as the Google results. You really want to trust all of that, or do you want to do some proper thinking about where you're building? And how an engineer instruments an AI is just different than how a non-engineer does. So one of the biggest misconceptions, I think, is that part. I think our jobs evolved and changed significantly, and it's done so as we've been building Ray. As we've been building Ray, AI has gotten better, so we can give it different types of tasks now rather than having to babysit it through the entire life cycle. And when it comes to Ray itself, I think I love the idea of an LLM being a gateway into intelligence, not necessarily being the intelligence.
I like
Right?
that.
It's, to me, if we try to keep cramming intelligence into a model, at some point we're going to hit limits. We're going to find ways where we can't cram it in anymore. Some of these models are now 10 trillion parameters or more, at least they're rumored to be. We already have 3 trillion parameter models that are open source. So I'm more interested in the harness, in the way you work with an AI, and make it smarter by working with it rather than just leveraging its own corpus. So I think that's the second bit. AI is fantastic, and I think one of the key things it changes the user experience. But if we treat it in a way that as an actual LLM, as something that can go through lots of data, help you find your way, give you tools, talk to it, navigate things for you, reason with you, fantastic. If you treat it as it knows everything, I think you're doing the wrong thing with it, and it's pretty dangerous actually.
Yeah, and if you think about it, function first instead of the ground, the baseline first of all this information. If you think about the function you want it to do for you, right, which I suppose you could call UX, you want something that completes a specific task that is knowledgeable. You want something that helps you make decision making simpler. You want to be more informed. You want to be able, it's like having that team of people underneath you that help you to get a project across the line really fast or whatever it is. So you don't need to cram any more general information to that thing. Thank you very much to ChatGPT and Anthropic and all the rest that have already done that. Brilliant. But there's no need for anybody else to do that. So I think AI companies, certainly when we're looking at orchestrated AI platforms that are coming out this year, just need to take advantage of not just the information that's in there, which is a massive help, but at times a hindrance.
Yes.
But the way of using it as a central brain in a system that can help you with decision making, I think, is the main thing. Because otherwise we could have automated paid media planning and buying years ago. It's not hard to put predetermined rates into a database and to understand that you need to have a media plan that looks the same all the time, and you can do the maths for the forecasting. But the difficult bit is the discernment and knowing what's out there and understanding what's important and what isn't, and putting together a plan that's going to work. And that's the bit that was missing. And that's kind of what the AI brain delivers.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Ray is maybe it's because I built it that, or the team and I built it, that I have these opinions. But Ray is the epitome of what I believe, right? It's not we don't leverage the intelligence of the LLM as much. We leverage, well, we provide the LLM and we guardrail it within certain areas, and then we make sure it helps the user reach their goals. We're not just saying, here's a better model.
No,
Good luck,
and
guys.
with the intelligence layer that we've put on the top that's highly orchestrated, right? That's also
Yes.
not just a training dump.
No,
Because
no.
I always think as well, like training a model is brilliant and really good, and yes, it should be done, but it's just one tool in the toolbox. It's still not, to my mind, and feel free to disagree with me because you're the AI expert, but to me, it just seems like throwing a bucket of water into an ocean of information and going, there you go, I've trained it. It does my job now, it doesn't do anything else. How are you supposed to compete with how much information did you say was put in there? Trillions?
Yeah, one of the big challenges with, let's say you were to train your own model today and you want to make it decent enough. People are doing this, by the way. It's not like this is not a gated thing. You can do this based on open source tech that's around.
Yeah, of course.
One of the big challenges people are finding, and this happens in the coding space. Let's say we want to fine tune a coding model based on Python, for example. And then we're like, wait, if we make it really, really small, why don't we teach it from the ground up? If you only give it Python knowledge, you can't speak to it. It doesn't understand languages well enough. So it's actually the fact that, at least that's what I believe, and I'm not sure this is correct, but because the bigger models have more base knowledge and understanding humans because they know what they're on about. I think that's why they are better at doing the job that they're doing, not necessarily that they're the best coders or whatever. And this is a problem if you were to train your own model. You'd effectively need that kind of massive corpus to train, which is insanely expensive right now. So you can't just turn up and give Fable level intelligence with B2B marketing. That's not how it works. But why would you anyway? It's expensive, it's difficult, it's a long road to get there. Let's leverage your point.
It changes. Here's the other thing: you need AI as the central pillar of intelligence that's able to retrieve the most up-to-date and useful information possible.
Yeah.
So I always feel like as well that would be if somebody was to take that approach, which by the way I don't think would work anyway, and we've proven that the other one does. It's also a lifelong job where you're constantly training something that isn't working, as opposed to building that sort of knowledge system.
And then there's fine tunes, right? Fine tunes help, and it's something that we are always thinking about for Ray. Is this the time where we need a fine tune of a model? Because we use several models in our Ray lifetime, open source models mostly, where we can actually open source. The current Ray system is built on an open source model. We can fine tune open source models if we wanted to, but for right now and in all of our evaluations, the instruction giving is fine as long as you put the proper hardness in place. So as long as that's the case, and we will try. Of course, it's always a cost benefit, right? We can do it if it's actually going to have a meaningful dent. We've tried it before; it wasn't as fantastic as we hoped, but we can always reinvestigate. And this is the beauty of this whole AI space. Let's see where it goes. The new open source models that are coming out, they're so good, right? And they can run on a single device. So I foresee a future where Ray could run on a single device at some point, just completely isolated because of the AIs being this good already. I hope we get there.
I think it's important. So I think that it's a knowledge gap with some of the senior marketers that we're talking to about when we were onboarding Ray, is that they automatically think that it is a large training problem.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Oh, in the onboarding of Ray, how much information do I have to give you about my company? Do I need to give you hundreds of thousands of files? How do we train it to really understand who I am? Like it already knows who you are if you're a large enough company. If you're not putting loads of files in, it isn't going to make too much of a difference. You can do that with relatively slimline packets within the knowledge system that we have. So it is specific, but it's almost like the LLM and the recommendations are going through teams of people before it gets to you for the decision making. That's kind of like the architecture, rather than throwing buckets of information into an ocean.
And we're not training a model with your information.
No.
This is the big thing, right? Because if you were to do that, we would have to have a model per client, simply because otherwise someone could distill knowledge from one client by the other way, and
Yeah.
we don't do that at all.
I think
So,
this is a big worry. I think that a lot of clients, and including myself, actually, I might get myself in a little bit of trouble here, but because lots of people are trying to make AI work for their businesses as quickly as possible, you've got a lot of large companies building capabilities around existing LLMs
mhm.
like OpenAI or Gemini or whatever it happens to be, and just simply plugging their capability into that, signing a deal with them, getting their whatever API, I think most of them, into the system and using that. But that's a massive security risk. And some of these platforms, by the way, you have to turn that off. It's automatically turned on. I'm thinking through, but I'm not going to say them out loud because we're hoping to use this for a lot of things. But I went on 2 trainings because I'm a geek last week with some of the systems that we have and saw that the AI was trained on. And then I'm calling up the departments and going, go in and turn it all off.
Yeah.
We don't want our contact level information being bled out that way to, well, this one was OpenAI, to OpenAI.
That's one of the core things we didn't want to do with our clients' environment, right? We did not want them. This needs to be in a way where we can guarantee to our clients that we are not training any model or downstream model with your information. It all stays within the boundaries of the platform.
Yeah.
We can guarantee this. We've
I
got
think it's
written agreement.
uncommon. That's the thing that sort of blows my mind a little bit is I don't understand why that isn't the baseline.
It's
Um,
expensive. It's difficult.
that's true. It has been, and we've been doing this for what, a while. I've been building this for in the years, not in the months.
Yeah,
So
it's not. I mean, it's easy to just say, "Don't take my data." How can you guarantee it? Are you sure? Do you have a provider broad level agreement that you can fall back on? We do. It's LM inference in general, and also a lot of them. I think a lot of people building AI apps are just leveraging model intelligence, so they want the next best thing, which means sometimes they will have to sacrifice some kind of privacy to get there, or
yeah,
they're not thinking as much about it, right? This is not me slagging off the entire industry, but this is where we have to be concerned with our data, and especially if you work with enterprise clients, it's unacceptable. It's not a thing we can do.
it's the
Therefore,
agency challenge. That's the agency
yeah,
challenge. They're not set up to build things like this. They're set up to organize existing data around the products and services that they already deliver as an agency. And they're wanting to make that more intelligent, which, by the way, an admirable thing to do. Good for them. I'd rather work part as an agency that's taking AI seriously than not. But that said, I think there's a lot happening that the clients don't know about, or the clients are just turning a blind eye to because they want to leverage the benefit of it, but not take everything through an AI council.
it's because they're being asked by the board. AI is a thing now. How am I faster, better, stronger? How have I improved all of our lives by you leveraging AI? So it's very easy to just say, "What do I do? Let's use a better model," and then you
Yeah.
know,
I
let's
mean, you talked a little bit about it being difficult, right? That's why we do this, because it's difficult and we do.
yeah.
During the build, what would you say was something that you thought was going to be really easy and turned out to be a massive rabbit hole? And then was there something that you thought was going to be a massive rabbit hole but turned out to be surprisingly easy?
Yeah, so making the AI listen to me has been a massive rabbit hole, and making sure that it actually does what I tell it to do. Instruction following is not is probabilistic. Therefore, an LLM is probabilistic, right? So therefore, it does not exactly do what you tell it to. If you keep asking the same question, you'll get variance, which is also its purpose and why it's good and why we have it. So I'm not against that, but in that case, we then have to build all these validation layers, and that are also semantic, so that when they, let's say, we pick a publisher that isn't part of the list that we support for the specific use case of a client. Well, what happened is the LLM will suggest a publisher, but we've got the API verification layer that says, well, hold up, that's not possible. You should go back and try again. This is the list of available ones. That actually gives you a really nice feedback loop that an LLM can recover from, rather than just blocking it outright or giving the end user the wrong information and leveraging them to send it back. These types of building blocks on verifications, yeah, they've been pretty difficult to build because you want the flexibility of the LLM and its knowledge and its reasoning, but
Yeah.
you want the solidity of a platform behind it. And I think that balance is quite difficult to maintain, especially as you use the different models. One of the easier ones, I think, from a challenge perspective, I would say, is building a chat, just a normal chat. It,
Yeah.
this has been done so many times now, right? It's you set up a stream, give it a token, off you go. It's super easy to start. When you get into a system like Ray with hundreds of tool calls, validation layers, multi-agent systems, agent handoffs, and all that fun stuff, that's a whole different ballgame. But just getting the POC, getting something responding to your queries about B2B media and delivering a plan was sort of easy. That's the easy bit. Bringing this into production as it is now, it's an entirely different ballgame. Entirely different.
It is, it is quite difficult. It is, but I mean, if it was easy to do, it'd be boring, Nicky.
This is true. I always, whenever we're really busy, and people say I'm really busy, oh, bless, that's good. Good for you that you're busy. Be happy with
Yeah.
that. Some people aren't busy, they don't even have a job. You have a fantastic job at the forefront of tech. Now go work. Go fix the problems.
Oh God. So what does like a really bad day working on Rail at night versus a really good day working on Rail?
I think, especially now the systems has grown so much, is sometimes we do have to find a bit of a needle in a haystack where we've got the whole pipeline going from a suggestion all the way to a media plan, from the first prompt all the way to a media plan. Somewhere along the road, it may break, and then we get the wrong output because somewhere the output wasn't persisted correctly, or these types of things. And that's reproducing it means chatting to Ray about it. Whereas normally with an engineer, if I have a bug, I reproduce the bug, I fix the bug, I ship the bug, and I go on with my life.
Yeah.
Now I have to go and have a chat with the computer and make it try to do the same thing. It's almost like you're QAing whilst you're developing, so that can be pretty tough. It's pretty time consuming to do. We've got automations in place, and we've got like playwright tests, and all. We have it all in place. It boils down to sometimes in the end you're going to have to sit down with Ray and find out why it's making the certain decisions it does. And the only way to do is to ask it. And that's, for an engineer, that's horrible. I don't want to talk. I want to have code in front of me. I want to see the thing break and then just go and fix it.
So it's quite a human way of building, really.
Yes, yes. And it's not what us engineers, most of us never really like to do. We like, code is declarative. It says exactly what it does right there. It can be wrong, but at least I can sort of discern what's wrong with it. Now I have to ask Ray, how did you come to that conclusion? Because I've given you this information. Oh, well, because the database lists that these things are, right, the database is wrong, right? And then you have to, it's just a more lengthy process. So that can take some actual time and effort, finding out what went wrong on the non-deterministic layer, if you will.
I just think that's really interesting. That's like dealing with any kind of offline problem.
Yeah, it is. Which
Get
is
a
not.
climate change or
Well,
yeah.
when you raise a bug with us, right? You say, right, I don't know, spelling is mistaken. Cool. I look at the spelling mistake, I fix the spelling mistake, and I push my code, and I go on to the next thing. With Ray, sometimes that it gives a suggestion that we cache in our QA process. We're like, ooh, we need to go and figure out why it's doing this, and reproducing it just takes a long time, right?
I just think that's crazy, isn't it? But it's part of the reason I definitely love working on Ray. I mean, having worked in an agency, a media planning buying agency for quite a large career already, just having something that you know has a certain level of capability. So you've got the human working with it all the way through anyway, so the onus is on them to make sure that they're using it at each stage to prove things, a yes, no, augment it. It's a tool to help them. It's not like a black box, which is enjoyable. But on the flip side of that, it does make sure that the output always reaches a certain level.
Yes.
And that makes me very happy, having led teams for years. I mean, and most of those teams have been fabulous, by the way. I'm certainly not. But I think from a quality control perspective, yeah, it can probably be quite difficult to build Ray. But then once it's done, you've trained that team of skill sets once, rather than having to do it multiple times.
It allows teams like yourselves, ours, and your clients to focus on the things that are most difficult. That's what Ray can help you with, right? That focus on the things that need human attention, the strategizing. And from a strategy, I mean, what does the company need to do to solve these specific challenges? How do we get to the market? Like the very top level things, they require thoughts. They require intelligent humans to run these systems. And we are just trying to take away as much as we can so you can focus on what's the core of the reason you exist. How do you push this company forward. That's what we're trying to do. Same goes for you as Ray itself, right? We need to make sure the system is robust enough so you can keep coming up with new ideas that we didn't have to go and talk to a machine about, and then figure out how we can get it into production.
What
Yeah.
are you most excited to build next, and why do you think it matters?
I think activation is really fun. I'm not as so we've scoped it out a little bit, right? I'm not as concerned from a tech perspective because it is more deterministic by nature, actually. Something's either live or it isn't, right? There are zeros and ones in place. So I think that is, from a technological perspective, maybe a little bit easier, but I think it's so valuable if we can close the loop because we've got reporting, right? We've got the strategists, you can strategize something, we can report on it, now we can also activate it. We're nicely closing that loop. So I'm really looking forward to closing the loop because it can also influence Ray in the future. We can use the reporting and the activation metrics and information that we get to make Ray smarter, to make it more customer specific. So I'm interested in, and that's going to give us the next technological challenge, right? How do we separate new data coming in all the time, which influences your next plan? So
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to closing the loop so we can start building on top of it.
Yeah.
Like we can.
Exciting. Well, it's fun building it with you. I'm definitely having a great time. I'm glad we made the choices that we did at the beginning. I think we're moving really quickly. It's great to have clients in there.
Yes.
And
Yeah, it's
I'm
awesome.
most looking forward to really getting clients in at scale.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be, when we're out of beta, which should be shortly, and people can just come in and play in it themselves, and we've got that whole support area as well. That's where I'm most excited. But I think it's also where it's going to be stressful. So,
It will be. I've never released a SaaS which has not been stressful. So get ready for the ride. It'll be fun. But yeah, the good thing is we've made the right decisions early on. We don't have to backtrack as much. So that's a good thing for releasing any type of SaaS. You don't want to have to refactor the entire thing right after you launch it. I've seen that happen before. That's not going to happen here.
thanks. Well, thank you for the chat. I've enjoyed it lots.
Likewise.
Go back to building.
I'll go back to have an argument with Ray.
Yeah, enjoy.